Dear Karim, congratulations on your outstanding achievement winning Best Drama and Best AI Created Character for What the Village Didn't See. Your film is deeply moving, visually striking, and emotionally powerful. The story of Elijah Hale and Clara Rowan stays with the viewer long after the film ends. We would love to ask you a few questions about your work. The character of Elias Hale, and correct me if I pronounce it wrong, is incredibly complex. What inspired you to create such a deeply conflicted and tragic figure?
First, I would like to sincerely thank the festival management and the jury for this great honor. Winning Best Drama and having Elias recognized with Best AI Created Character means a lot to me because it shows that the human side of the film truly reached people. As for Elias Hale, I wanted to create a character who could not be reduced to one judgment or one image, because real people are always more complex than first impressions. What inspired me most was that painful contradiction, a man who seems harsh and frightening on the outside, but inside carries deep fragility, guilt, and loss. I was drawn to the idea that some people become silent and cold not because they are heartless, but because their pain has grown beyond expression. To me, Elias is a tragic man who did not lose his humanity, but buried it under guilt, isolation, and self-punishment. I wanted the audience to discover him gradually until they realized that what first looked like darkness was really the shadow of suffering.
The theme of judgment versus truth is central to the film. What message did you most want the audience to take away from the village's treatment of the main character?
The main message I wanted to express is that society often prefers the version of a story that makes it feel safe rather than the truth that forces it to question itself. The villagers did not really want to understand Elias. They wanted someone to blame, because blame can create a false sense of comfort and order. For me, the film asks an important moral question. How often do we judge people by their appearance, silence, scars, or isolation without asking what pain shaped them first? I wanted to say that truth is rarely found in the first image we see. It is often hidden in the part no one takes the time to understand.
Clara serves as the emotional bridge between the audience and the main character. How did you approach building her perspective and empathy?
I did not write Clara simply as a kind character. I wrote her as someone with moral courage. Her empathy for Elias does not come from naivety, but from her refusal to accept the ready-made judgment of the village. She still sees the human being before she sees the accusation. I also wanted her to feel real and human, not idealized. She does not begin with the truth. She discovers it step by step, just as the audience does. Through her, the audience starts to question its own assumptions. So for me, Clara is not only an emotional bridge, but also a moral voice that reminds us that compassion can be a form of resistance against collective cruelty.
The graveyard monologue is one of the most powerful scenes. How did you develop this moment emotionally and narratively?
For me, that scene was the emotional heart of the film. I always felt that Elias could not be fully understood until the moment when his mask finally breaks, and he can no longer hide behind silence or hardness. The graveyard is not just a place in that scene, it becomes a space of confession and confrontation with memory, guilt, and loss. Narratively, I wanted that moment to come only after a long buildup of silence and mystery, so the truth would feel earned and painful. Emotionally, I tried to keep it restrained because real pain does not always need to be loud. Sometimes it becomes more powerful when it feels like words that have been trapped inside someone for years.
The villagers act almost as a single collective voice of condemnation. Was this a deliberate metaphor for societal fear and moral blindness?
Yes, absolutely. I did not want the village to be just a background. I wanted it to become a dramatic force of its own, almost like a failed collective conscience. That single voice was meant to show what happens when fear is repeated so often that it begins to sound like truth. I was very interested in the idea that cruelty is not always carried out by one clearly evil person. Sometimes it becomes collective and socially accepted. When condemnation is repeated enough, people stop questioning it. So yes, the village was very much intended as a metaphor for society when it loses moral clarity and finds judgment easier than understanding.
Visually, the film has a cold, misty, almost haunting atmosphere. How did you approach the visual tone to reflect Elias's inner world?
The visual style of the film was never just an aesthetic choice. It was a direct extension of Elias's emotional state. I wanted the village to feel surrounded by moral fog as much as visual fog, a place where truth is never fully clear, just as Elias himself is never clearly seen by others. The cold tones, dim light, and haunting atmosphere were all meant to reflect a world shaped by guilt and memory. I wanted the image to carry the feeling that Elias is living inside a long inner winter, and that warmth appears only in rare moments, usually when we are allowed to see the humanity hidden beneath his silence.
The reveal of Elias's past is devastating. Did you always intend for the audience to first see him as the village does and then gradually uncover the truth?
Yes, that structure was intentional from the beginning. I wanted the audience to enter the same emotional space as the villagers at first, a space shaped by suspicion, fear, and first impressions. Not to trick the audience, but to involve them morally in the experience. That gradual reveal was important because it turns the film into more than a story about a misunderstood man. It becomes an experience of self-examination. The audience does not only discover who Elias is, it also discovers how easily judgment is formed and how a collective narrative can strip someone of their humanity before they are truly seen.
Winning Best AI Created Character is a huge recognition. How did AI tools contribute to shaping Elias's emotional depth and realism?
I see AI here as a tool of expression, not a replacement for human vision. Its value came not from the technology alone, but from how it was used to serve the emotional truth of the character. With Elias, I wanted his face, presence, and stillness to carry the weight of a long inner history of guilt, silence, and pain. AI tools helped me build that connection between form and feeling with great precision. But the depth itself came from the writing, the character work, and the commitment to emotional honesty. That is why this recognition means so much to me, because it shows that AI can be used not only to create an image, but to create a character who feels psychologically real.
The final speech by Clara reframes the entire story. Do you see this as the true resolution of the film, or is Elias's absence the real ending?
I see Clara's final speech as the moral resolution of the film, but I believe Elias's absence is the true ending. Her words give truth a voice and change the meaning of everything that came before, but they do not undo the loss. The truth arrives too late, and recognition comes only after the person who deserved it is gone. So in that sense, Clara's speech is the ethical climax, while Elias's absence is the emotional ending. One reveals the truth, but the other leaves the wound open. That was very important to me because I wanted the audience to feel that truth may arrive, but justice does not always arrive in time.
If Elias could speak to the village one last time, what do you think he would say?
I do not think he would speak with anger. I think he would speak with exhaustion. Maybe he would say something like, I never asked you to love me. I only asked to be seen for who I was, not for who you needed me to be. I made a terrible mistake and I paid for it every day. But you never once looked at the man who is still trying to remain human after being broken. I think Elias was not asking for complete forgiveness as much as he was asking for his humanity to be acknowledged. For me, that is what makes his tragedy so painful. He was judged by others and by himself, and the truth arrived only when it was too late.
And one more time, thank you for creating such a powerful and meaningful film. We truly look forward to seeing your future projects and continuing to follow your creative journey.